What's good in the web? This is your boy Q back with some of that geek news. And first and foremost, I have to thank you and say it really means a lot to me. I appreciate the fact that you stopped out of your busy YouTube schedule to view me. And by no further ado, let me jump right into some topics because we have more than a few today. Now, the first thing that I have to talk about today is that Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it feels like I was just talking about Final Fantasy VII, the remake, just the other day. Earlier in the week, Tetsuya Naruma met up with Fetsuma to talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 in an interview, and we took away some pretty valuable information from that interview about Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Some stuff that we pretty much already knew, but it was good to get some confirmation. Naruma explains in the interview that he and his team are going to be going in greater detail with stories and characters like in that of Avalanche. So we finally get to see a more in-depth story in Jesse and Biggs and Wedge. And what's interesting is because this was on PlayStation 1 and the graphics were above what Super Nintendo and Sega were at the time, but it took me a while to realize that Jessie was actually a girl until she started hitting on Cloud. I was like, oh, okay, so it makes sense now. So I do want to see how Jessie came into Avalanche. We already know the situation between Dyne and Barrett and Marlene and how they came into it, but where did Biggs and Wedge come in? And it just felt like, as Cloud being the lead protagonist, we didn't really get a huge feeling or caring about the group. However, Barrett did, and how long was Barrett with the group? I also want to see exactly where Tifa was in all of this, from Nebelheim all the way until she was running the Seventh Heaven in Sector 7. I want to see exactly how she came to be and get a little more characterization. I would even love to play as Tifa and as Barrett with Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge. Naruma also says that by doing this, it will allow the characters to have more in-depth stories, which would mean that we have more way to have a character opinion and decide how how Cloud feels about particular situations. Hell, I'm greedy. We've been waiting, I don't know how many years to get this remake. I want to see if they're going to be doing this with Avalanche, if they're going to do this with the Turks. I would love to see Reno, Rue, Elena, and Tenzing and what their relationships are, and have some little side missions we're actually able to play as them. Hell, can we get some Genesis in this? That was the whole Crisis Core and Before Crisis were huge storylines. And while I am not the biggest proponent on DLC for one of my favorite games of all time, my 1B, because 1A is Chrono Trigger, I'm always toss it. Final Fantasy VII, Chrono Trigger, but I was born in such a great era of the golden age of video games that, wow. If I'm having a debate to what my favorite game is, Final Fantasy VII or Chrono Trigger, that's a good thing, because both are gold. But I would love to see more in-depth stories, even if it is DLC, within the whole Final Fantasy VII games, especially this remaster, because look how it looks. Did I already say that? My only gripe would be if they decided to go so much in detail with Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and even some of the Avid Children stuff, is because when they did that, it kind of transformed Cloud from being like this badass into being more of this gothic emo dude, because it made him just almost see like a direct clone or copy of what Zack was. When Cloud had his own hardness and kind of toughness, that's why he did everything. If you play the game, that's why he was doing everything, was for Tifa. I want to see the whole love scene that was supposed to happen underneath the airship that they took out because they felt it was too mature. Even though a year later, they did put the love scene with Faye and with Ellie and Xenogears. So I want to see if they're going to incorporate that in for a more mature audience. And, times have changed a lot, if you can play Grand Theft Auto, a love scene between Tifa and Cloud on that airship is not that big of a deal. Naruma also went on to say that for the core fans, don't worry, a lot of the things that are inside of this game are going to be kept intact. The whole atmosphere of the game will still be in order. So that means that Cloud dressing up in the wall market to be prettiest girl to meet, Don Cornelio, is still going to be there intact, as well as Barrett's infamous date with Cloud on Gold Saucer. I would love to see more story elements where we can have different options and stuff, and even some Dirge Cerberus. Like, again, you know what? I'll pay for some DLC for Final Fantasy VII to remaster, because there's such a big story there. As for Final Fantasy 15, no, not that. But what would you like to see? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, the next story is like a blast from the past. The 61-year-old bombshell Linda Hamilton is back in the sequel to T2 Terminator 2. The 61-year-old actress is currently shooting in Madrid, Spain, and could be seen, as in on Twitter, in her picture with a new hairdo and a bulletproof vest. Also returning to the film is going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the film is going to be produced by James Cameron, which I just found out by, doing some articles, that he was married to Linda Hamilton from 97 to 99. I mean, wow. Go figure. One of the biggest things that he said that he wanted to incorporate in this new adaptation or sequel to T2 is the fact that we see a lot of older action stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone in their 50s and 60s reprise roles as being like the OG, but you don't really see that a lot with women. Linda Hamilton in the 90s did a really great job as Sarah Connor, being that badass character, and women looked up to her as an action star. So just imagine what it would do in today's society, in this modern day where women can do what men can do. So why aren't there more representations of women in that particular age group doing the same thing? Guess who's back again. Vegito's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? So, if you thought that Dragon Ball Heroes was going to be fan service already with the return of Mai and future Trunks, as well as Gohan turning to Super Saiyan 4, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the arrival of Vegito coming back. And the last trailer, well, the only trailer, the new official trailer that we finally got for Dragon Ball Heroes, Vegito is, bar none, one of the top characters, because it is Vegeta and Goku just united in one, characters in the whole Dragon Ball universe. And this is the reason why I said that it is room for Broly to come and actually be part of either this series or the series that's going to happen after the Dragon Ball Super movie. I mean, he could even be a character that can go up against Jiren and the rest of everybody else. I mean, because he is Saiyan royalty, or an anomaly, so to speak. There's going to be Fu from the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games, as well as this new mystery Saiyan. Dragon Ball Heroes looks to be a great fill-in show until we find out exactly what direction the other show is going to go, because this is going to be right in the timeline between the Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F, and in between the whole Jiren and the main tournament. But what I'm curious about, if this is in the middle of those series, then how come Gohan couldn't turn into Super Saiyan 4 at the tournament? Even though the rest of the gods and stuff were kind of like giving him the nod, but he still was relatively weak. Will this be something that we can see Gohan actually do something? And when the hell are we gonna get some Goten? If you haven't gotten to see the trailer, I'll put the link in the description below, so check it out. It's a brief trailer and it's much of what we already know, but if you haven't seen it, you're gonna want to see it. Check it out. After the NBA draft, it got me sitting here thinking, and it made me really think about how much time as a gamer I actually put onto 2K and to sports games. And that is my Call of Duty. As many times as I complain and laugh about people buying Call of Duty, every year, regardless of the game, when 2K comes out, I buy 2K. But it got me to thinking, to make the game even longer than it already is and more playability, how about we incorporate more of the draft? And I'm not talking about that bootleg draft stuff that was already on 2K18 and its predecessors. I mean, make it an actual spectacle, much like they did last night on the NBA draft. First and foremost, can we get an NCAA 2K, or even some kind of patch or a $30 or even $60 add-on. And I understand that the college affiliates do have to pay the students. Well, actually they don't. That's the whole problem with NCAA sports. But EA used to make games for NCAA. I'm not sure if they still do, and if they do, they need to fix the games, because I haven't heard about it in a very long time. But 2K needs to adopt this, mainly because so many players are being uploaded from the servers, and I get tired of having to upload. I would love to have some patches or the players already loaded from one game and just straight go to the next game. And I feel that that would actually push the game into higher levels, because when I'm playing 2K and I'm either on my GM or if I'm even doing my league, I hate the fact I have to wait all the way into the next season to load these draft classes, and I'm not getting this current draft class into the next year on the game. If they had an NCAA 2K, then they would be able to easily transition these players from the other players. Plus, it would get us get a chance to see a lot of college players that we had no knowledge of and be able to play with them in the NBA. So it's a win-win for the NCAA, which is greedy, and a win-win for the NBA and 2K in a whole. So 2K, if you're listening, try to adopt that idea. Think about that. Longevity to the game. Just no microtransactions on the college players. Earlier in the week, Michael B. Jordan won the Best Villain from MTV from the TV and Movie Awards, which he said he was shocked that he won, and even took the time to take a little stab at Roseanne and her off-screen antics, feeling that she probably would have won. But as those antics that she did were off-screen rather than being on-screen, Michael B. beat out the likes of Thanos, which, by all metrics, a lot of people felt that Thanos should have won. I wasn't one such person. Even though Thanos has probably the best effect of the year, snapping your fingers and everybody dissolves. And if you notice, everybody's been doing this darn dissolve effect now ever since Thanos has done it. It's cool, but let's not overplay it. Okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit with the dissolving effect. Michael B. Jordan's depiction as Killmonger struck heartstrings and mind strings, because it made you sit and have to contemplate, is he really a villain? And are the things that he did truly justified? And is he gonna come back in the next movie? Ryan Coogler said that initially it was not meant for Killmonger to return in another movie because of the fact that that would take something away from T'Challa. Killmonger pretty much stole the show. I wouldn't be surprised, I sincerely wouldn't, if we can see Killmonger do some kind of Winter Soldier type deal where he's just frozen, because we didn't see a body after the end of the battle. We just seen both of the cousins watching the sunset. So only time will tell, but I love to see a Killmonger return. Wouldn't you? Being a Nintendo fan, and some would even say a fanboy, for many a moon, I've heard it all. And one such thing that I've heard a lot about, especially being a current Switch owner, is that we, as Switch owners, don't like and don't want Western developed games. And one thing that Fortnite on the Switch has shown is that's a lie. Matter of fact, personally, I'm still waiting for Rockstar to drop Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Switch. And I feel that the time that the Switch's online service comes out in September, that will breathe new life into a game that, you know what, since 2013, has kind of played its course, but it would breathe life right back into the franchise. And while we're on the subject of the Switch, did you see the new commercial, the Minecraft Xbox One Nintendo Switch commercial, which it took a direct jab at Sony and basically was like, hey, Sony, we're allowing you to play with other owners of other games, from PC to the Xbox One to the Nintendo Switch, so what are you doing? And Sony's only rebuttal has basically been, did they have a rebuttal? This isn't a good look for Sony, who's usually a cut above Nintendo and a cut above Microsoft when it comes to incorporating their gamers, even though they could be getting stagnant again with some of their success from the PlayStation 4. I should be able to game with a Switch, a Xbox One, or a PS4, whatever system or controller that I choose to play on with other players to whatever controller or system they choose to play on. It's the only right thing to do. I mean, let's take the money out of the equation. Okay, we ain't never gonna take the money out of the equation, but come on, Sony. Come on. But anyway, this has been your boy Q, your friendly neighborhood geek. If you did like this video, please make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. The next time, remember, eat, geek, sleep, repeat. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.